grew up in the church, but I met the Lord actually in college, my sophomore year. It came as a result of a Bible study.
I was in nursing, taking classes for nursing and working.
At the end of the Bible study, they had asked me, would you like to give your life to the Lord? And I remember kneeling down and praying with my friends, and when I left the dorm room, I was walking down the hallway and a voice spoke to my mom saying, your life is not going to be the same.
We met in the Virginia apartments. My dad and I came from Walmart shopping for the apartment, and we opened the door. It hit something and we looked over, and it was one of the chairs in the apartment. Someone was sitting in the chair. I guess it was my roommate's friend. First thing I was thinking, like, who's this guy? She has a fiance. Why is she alone in the apartment with another guy? And so I didn't really think much about it. I just thought he was just another regular person.
It was him showing me moments in my life before I even knew him that though I hated him, he still loved me and he kept me alive. And he showed me, like, Victor, Christians think that when they give their life to the Lord that there's a lot of things that they can keep. That's the devil's, and no consequences will come about it. And he asked me if he could choose who would be my wife. And I was like, no. I was like, that's the last thing I'm gonna do. But before I met Renny, I had told God that he could choose who my spouse would be.
In 2011, there was a guy and he proposed and brought it up to the parents, and everything looked like it would be good, but I was just like, marriage, you know? So I was praying so much about it and fasting, and finally one day I asked the Lord, please show me these two signs, and if I see them, I would step into marriage with this person. First thing I said was that he would ask your permission, God's permission. And then the second one, that he would see me as your daughter, you know, God's daughter. So those were the two things that were so important for me at that time. And if I see those two things, then I would move forward, regardless of how I felt about that person. So I left it in God's hands, and in January 2012, I was in Southern. Fast forward, getting to know Victor. He fulfilled those two requests that I asked from God just in 2 months. I didn't realize it until later on when I was in the library, sat down and looked through the journal that I was writing in 2011, and I saw that those two requests. And at that time, I was thinking, Lord, are you really leading me towards a relationship with Victor Thomas? And after reading those two requests, I realized that he fulfilled them. And so that was a confirmation that he was the one.
A friend of mine that's one of the groomsmen, his name's Moise. I went to go and see Moise. This was 2012, it was February 28th, and it was close to past midnight. We were talking, we were joking. And then Moise was talking to me about, hey, okay, no, seriously, I want to pray with you about God's plans for your future, because he had met Renny and thought that she was the one for me, type thing. And I'm like, and that was really deep, because Moise back in college is goofy. And, you know, I mean, he's changed, but he still has his goofiness there. So I almost didn't take this guy seriously, but he was serious. So I was like, all right, man, we prayed. And I leave the dorm. As I'm walking out of the dorm, the Lord talks to me. From what you've seen in my daughter's character, would you marry her? And I'm like, I didn't respond. Keep on walking away from the guy's phone. From what you see in my daughter's character, would you marry her? And I'm like, man, this thought ain't leaving me. Walk a little bit further. From what you see in my daughter's character, would you marry her? And then one of my friends comes out of that dorm. He said, Vic, what the heck are you doing out here, man? It was like close to 1 o'clock in the morning. Like, I told him the question that God had posted in my mind. They say, you know, that reminds me of something I heard a pastor say. The woman you choose to marry is a depiction of your spiritual growth at that time. And I was like, well, dang. But when he said that, the statement that he posed and the question that God had posed became one in my head. And it formed this question. It said, Victor, if your life was to be joined to Renny, would she benefit your life spiritually? And if your life was to be joined to Renny's, would her relationship with me be benefited spiritually? And I'm thinking in my head, who asks that kind of question? Then I said on top of that, I said, Lord, I've been a Christian in a relationship. but I've never been in a Christian relationship. And meaning like I've been in a relationship and had a relationship with the Lord, but I have not allowed the Lord to lead that relationship. I lead, you follow. And your role is to lead that relationship by example. So if you're following me, all the other stuff I'll fix, I'll work it out. So I was kind of more calm about that, but I still didn't respond to him. The question came back again. From what you see in my daughter's character, would you marry her? You know, then I just kept on walking. And I walked up to the cafeteria, you know, that parking lot. I asked the Lord to have an angel come in right when I'm about to say. I said, the only way I would marry your daughter is if it was by your grace and brought glory to your kingdom. That's the only terms I would marry. And the reason why I said that was, if God is asking me to take on something, and I've seen this in my past, there are going to be difficulties or things that are going to hit. So depending on what I say to him, is going to be an aspect of encouragement later when hell hits, or it's going to be really discouraging. This is the first time that God specifically articulated, you know, this is the person.
We started the relationship in April 7, 2012.
She told me about the 2 years, and I was thinking to myself, you know, Lord, I believe she's worth it, but I don't know if I'm capable. I remember God telling me, he says, anything you do with me, the scripture says, with God all things are possible. And that kind of struck me that about the gentleman in the situation that Renny had mentioned, that she was prior in, there are things that he had to work out to be in a place, to be in a relationship of that situation. And in the journey, it came to a point in time where Renny's parents were a little bit hesitant on who I was and just about our story. And the father had asked me at one point to kind of step back, and I went to pray about it. Lord, what would you have me to do? The Lord said, do what the Father wishes. I'll bring Renny back to you, or I'll bring the relationship back. And I remember when I made the phone call to her dad, and I told him, he was happy, you know, because, you know, I honored his wish. When I got the phone, I thought it was, you know, it was all over. And God had told me, he was like, this is just like the story of Abraham and his son, that God had asked Abraham to kill his son. But Abraham believed that since God had given his word to keep his promise, even if his son died, God would raise up his son to keep his word, that power was there. That's Hebrews 11. And so God was saying, like, I'm not telling you this because it's over. I'm telling you this to show you in faith that I could bring the relationship back. And that kind of strengthened me and encouraged me. And then I think maybe a month or so, a little bit afterwards, I'd asked, how long? And the Lord said 2 years. And I was like, okay. So for 2 years, there was, you know, that communication. I saw the test that God had posed to Renny was a test that was also to be tested on any man that was to be eventually her man, to be her husband. The man whom God would choose for Renny would be the one that would be able to accept the test and endure it, but not by his strength, but by God's help.